Kenyatta, the President of the Republic of Kenya, the head of state and government, the executive authority of the Republic, the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, the Chairperson of the National Security Council, and our symbol of unity. Habari yako ndugu yangu. Asubuhi hii hatuko pamoja at all. Hizi statements zako zinatu hit faster and harder kuliko singles za Diamond. Bado tunatetema from you do not understand why we are broke. And right now, you now know the country is in chaos. You admit to the country being in chaos. But no, let's not blame you. Let's blame ourselves. Because according to Article 136 of the Constitution, the President shall be elected by registered voters in a national election conducted in accordance with this Constitution and any act of Parliament regulating presidential elections. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Where? Shame on the whole country, man. 3 times. 3 times you fooled us. Whew. Aren't we clowns? I do not know if you ever read the Constitution, if you happen to have a copy of it, if your advisors have a copy of it, because I have a copy of the Constitution in my hand, and Chapter 9 just outlines what the executive should do. Like, your job description is literally in the Constitution. All of it. Your cabinet is stealing money that you borrowed for development, and you are expecting mwananchi who is broke without money in their pockets to pay back these loans. Here is the not so funny part. Article 132, Part 2A. The President shall nominate and with the approval of the National Assembly appoint and may dismiss A. The Cabinet Secretaries in accordance with Article 152. C. The Secretary to the Cabinet in accordance with Article 154. D. Principal Secretaries in accordance with Article 155. F. In accordance with this Constitution, any other state or public officer whom this Constitution requires to empower or empowers the President to appoint or dismiss. The same people who are stealing day in, day out are still comfortably seated in these offices. Is it that you do not understand your power, or is it just that you do not want to engage? What is it? I don't understand. It's clearly stated. If my job description was that clear, assuming I had a job, man, I would be acting. You huff and puff and blow and sit back and fold your hands and do nothing, and then you want us to blame ourselves. Well, fine. We are taking the blame. We are taking all of it. And because we are taking the blame, we are going to fix this situation. We are going to fix it by the power of numbers that we have as mwananchi, and by our anger and our exhaustedness of all this chaos and just the don't care attitude. Man, anyone out there who knows what the Constitution it tells us to do about a president who's unable to carry out his duties, reach out to us, educate us. We want to take that step because it's the only choice we have been left with. We made this decision to elect you, and now we have to make a decision on how to fix the situation that you have brought upon us. Since you are not to blame and we are to blame, we are taking a chance to fix it. We are gonna fix it. Hey, Constitution experts, please come out and educate us. Tell us what we need to do to get this government out of office, like right now.
So many words. to say the same thing. So many words. And that unidentified lady is Lucy Ayala. And we have her in studio this morning to tell us exactly what she was saying. And also Mesha Kodede from the Volunteers Association of Kenya. Lucy, do you have a job?
No, I don't have a job.
Okay, are you a lawyer?
No, I'm not a lawyer.
So officially, I'm giving you my law degree from Moi University.
Thank
because
you so
do
much.
better. So
Yes.
I'm going to give you, I don't know how that's possible. But man, that was something. That was something. What makes you get out of bed and be so furious about an issue? What motivated you? Because this is the truth. This is what a lot of people feel. But these people can't say it. So what pushes you to be that? Okay.
I'm a member of Mavuno Mashariki.
Okay.
We pride ourselves by calling
That's a
ourselves
church?
the home
That's
of
a church?
Fearless. Yeah.
Mavuno Mashariki is a church?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
church.
Okay.
So it's the home of the fearless.
Okay.
And their mission in our church is turning ordinary citizens into fearless influencers of society.
Okay.
So I'm living up to that. Other than that, there's a lot of chaos that's going on in the country, and no one wants to take responsibility for it. Yet we have leaders, and the president wakes up one morning and he does not understand why we are broke. And he says, okay, fine, things are not going right, but don't blame me. So who are we supposed to blame? I did not mean to demean his power, but he's a father figure. When you go home and your kids are hungry, they're going to cry for your attention to let you know that they are hungry. So we as youth in this country, we feel like the government doesn't listen to us, and it has just sidelined us. The only time that we matter is when these leaders are giving speeches on youth unemployment, and they really do not understand what the reality on the ground is. That's why they're able to make such statements. And it's enraging because now it puts us in a position where we feel like we have no hope for the future. If your father comes home and you're hungry, and you let him know you're hungry, and he tells you, okay, fine, I understand you're hungry, but don't blame me because you're hungry. Who am I supposed to blame?
Okay. Meshach, listening to Lucy, what comes to your mind?
You know, Ken, when I watched this video...
Where? Here or
no,
the first
not
time?
here.
When it went viral?
Yeah, when it went viral. I watched it on social media, on Facebook page. I said, I think my brother Miguna didn't know what to do. He's been really calling for revolution, but there's someone who knows how to do it better, much better. Attacking no one,
yes,
but placing facts on the table with a constitution that all of us are aware of, reading the clauses that each one of us know exist there, but putting it the way every other mwananchi down there would have put it.
I mean, it was very respectful,
and when,
but on
yes,
point.
very respectful.
Yes.
Not attacking anyone, not leaning on any side of the political divide, just speaking to a Kenyan on either side. And when that was the time to call came, I think if it was a sermon, so many people were going to get saved.
But you know, incidentally, this is not the first video. She sent me several videos. This is not the first video that she has done.
This is the first I saw.
That you saw.
It was amazing.
Because it's coming at the back of the president speaking, so
Yes.
it was very relevant.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of social media back and forth on the speech and what was said and what was not said by the president,
Yeah.
and alluding to the fact that he said we're broke and all that. And then this, one of the things that she said that touched me is assuming I even have a job. And that's
Yes.
a big thing for the youth of this country. And one of the things that is in the BBI report is about how to ensure that the youth future is secured, creating jobs and all. Not forgetting this was a promise 7 years ago by the Jubilee government, but we are bringing it to the BBI. Now that's playing politics. I don't want to play politics here now. But Lucy, what pushes you when you wake up? Is it your state? Is it a wider vision for this country?
I have a wider vision for this country. I believe so much in the potential of young people. Since the time we were children, we have been told that we are the future leaders. But our future is here, and no one is caring
It's
to
giving
look
you the
at
leadership.
us. No one is giving us an opportunity.
Yes.
And the president, while launching the Jubilee Party manifesto, said they had this well thought out internship program.
Yes.
They had a plan to create 1.3 million jobs through the manufacturing sector.
Yes.
Ken, how many industries have closed down in the past few
Give
months?
us 3 months.
Yeah, just
3
few
months.
months. Let's not even talk about years.
Yes.
So where are these jobs supposed to be coming from? If the environment for creating business is not even conducive, it's very harsh. And when you talk to people in that sector, they let you know. And then they tell us youth should go and create employment opportunities for themselves. But have you seen the policies and frameworks that govern the entrepreneurship sector? I mean, even getting funds from the Youth Enterprise Development Fund is just, it's an uphill task. These policies do not favor us. So we have been backed in a tight spot whereby industries are closing down. That leaves the government as the only viable employer. But then there are so many restrictions. You have to have so many clearances, forms, from certificates from various agencies, and you pay for them. Keep in mind you're jobless, you do not have the money to pay for that certificate. So you are not able to apply for that job. Just, it cuts down like all of us from that application. Before we even send in our applications, like we've already been pushed to the side, like you're not enough.
Yes.
And then they'll stand and tell us, youth are our priority and we understand the unemployment issue. No, they do not understand it. And we make up 75% of the population. That means we are more than 20 million. If 20 million of us showed up to the president's office today, what do you think is going to happen with such a large number of frustrated, young, energetic people? What do you think is going to happen?
Good question. Reminds me of a clip I watched either from the South African parliament or from the Tanzanian parliament. Perhaps you might correct me. When a member of parliament said, you say that the youth are the future, you say that we are going to create jobs, and yet you are jobless, that's why you went to parliament, you sought for a job. Was it Tanzania or South Africa? I can't remember. But that's the situation, Meshach.
Yeah, the situation is not so good. And what is worsening it is actually, I would say, social media. Because we can go back to 2017, we can go back to 2013. Social media has brought us to a point where you cannot forget anything. If you do, anytime you go through your timeline, you will meet things that you were told in 2013.
And Facebook will remind you.
And Facebook will also one morning remind you that we care about you. And then you see how the 1 million job opportunities is being promised to you back in 2013. You look at the internship programs which will harvest from universities and all the rest. So we are at a position where even if you want to turn your face on the other side, you can't, because you will see the promises and then you will realize it is 2018, 2019, and we still don't have jobs.
Sitting here, both of you, you don't think there is a reason to blame us? You don't think we have a part to play in the blame for the things that are happening, lack of employment, bad policy? You don't think we have a part? Because top of my mind, I'm thinking the leaders that we take to parliament, the leaders we elect, the leaders that are appointed, especially the ones that are elected, it's our responsibility. Why don't you think we should take the blame, Lucy? Because we are the people who elect these leaders who are now running us down.
I believe everyone needs to take a part in the blame. I like saying my people perish for lack of knowledge. So we don't vote in because we have enough civic education to enable us to make a knowledgeable choice. People just approach us and they make promises and we have blind faith in them, so we follow them. And then they get there and they have this culture of just being selfish. You do not care about your subjects anymore. It just becomes about you. And that's a blame on us, because if we voted on merit, I don't think we will be here. the National Assembly has a duty for oversight. It takes their approval in order for the president to appoint. If we vote better, we are going to have people who will make better choices on the appointments of the executive. But we do not vote better. And that's a blame on all of us. It's on all of us.
Okay. But the reason why we don't vote better, for example, is our economic situation. Look at the just concluded by-election in Kibra. It was the youth and it was money. Now, if I don't know what I'm going to eat tomorrow and someone is offering me 1,000 shillings to vote for him, what am I going to do? So this is a case of which one was first, the egg or the chicken?
The chicken.
Yes.
Yeah, but Ken, I would not, if at all we have to apportion blames, then I think the political class need to take a bigger chunk as we take the other smaller.
But how do they take, and yet we made them the political class?
It is not like we just made them. There were promises, and that is what we are talking about.
So based on
we were lied to.
Yes.
Yeah, we were lied to. For example, when Jubilee government was coming into power, there was so much hope because they lied to young people, told young people so many things. So you can't really come back and blame young people for taking them at their words. It is time for them to now come back to the promises. But even if you leave alone Jubilee government, let's talk about politicians in general. We have young members of parliament. I think this is one of the parliaments in Kenya which has had many, many young people in it. The promise was young people were out there saying, this time we are taking one of our own to parliament. And like she has said, we needed the policies that would allow private sector to create those jobs because government cannot be the major employer in any country. That has never happened across the globe. So when they went to parliament, did any of them go with a particular piece that they are going to influence as a policy to create employment opportunity from the private sector? We don't know. But many of them went there saying, because we are coming from you as a youth, we are going inside there to actually look at the youth matters. But how much have they looked at in terms of youth matters? So when a blame is being apportioned, I wouldn't really give it to young people.
Okay.
I would give young people just a small percentage. What exactly was created that young people didn't go into? I don't know.
What opportunities that are available
and young people are not taking, then that would give us opportunity to now say, young people, you're now wrong.
Okay.
I will tell you what opportunities have been availed and young people haven't taken, and I will also tell you why young people haven't taken these opportunities. We have the National Government Affirmative Action Fund. We have the Youth Enterprise Development Fund. We have Uwezo Fund. We have Children and Youth Empowerment Centers.
And
there are so many programs and policies that are meant to tackle the issues we have.
Okay.
However, we do not take these opportunities because they are not adequate, they are not relatable, and the information that we need in order for us to understand these opportunities and how we can grab them has not been deciphered in a manner that we can understand. It is there, but it has not been deciphered in a manner that we can understand. Let me give you an example. When I came across the National Employment Authority Act sometime last year, I felt like it was a good thing because it was going to create a database for all the unemployed young people and find placements within the government and private sector. But I followed it up. I went up to CS Ukuri Atani, who was currently at the Labour Ministry. I went up to him and he directed me to the Acting Director General, who was a lady about my mother's age. And when I got into her office, she was so nice and so warm, and I felt like, oh my God, something is about to change. And she told me it was very encouraging to see a young person following up keenly. And she encouraged me to keep following up. She said that there were some amendments that were being made and it was delaying the implementation. And she gave me her contact and told me to keep following up the matter. she did not expect me to be as persistent as I was. So, needless to say, she blocked my number.
After she saw
and then
your
the next thing, next
Yeah.
thing I heard about the National Employment Authority was Auntie Mary Wamboi being appointed as Director General. And I was seated there, I'm like, didn't no one mention my name to the president? I mean, they told me they would create room for me when the implementation began. So at times it's not for lack of trying. We just have gatekeepers who just shut the doors in our face.
Okay. Okay.
But
have you gotten in touch with the CS since then?
The number he gave me doesn't go through.
Okay.
And
I'll give you a number that you can get him through. I'll give you a number that you can get him through. Okay. But it's even about the youth seizing these opportunities. Don't you think, Lucy, before I go back to Meshach, because the reason why I brought Meshach here is because the youth look at opportunities in terms of even here when they apply for employment, they don't want to do internships. They apply for jobs, not knowing that they need training, they need to be assimilated in the process, then they can get employment. So the reason I brought Meshach is because he works for volunteers. Perhaps he'll try and shape our thinking in that direction. But let me speak about don't you think the youth are so preoccupied with one, quick rise, quick wealth, and secondly, white collar?
That might be partially true. But then I think the way the information is passed across to us is not in a way that's attractive to us.
Okay.
Let me use an example. The Chukua selfie campaign. They have very catchy phrases. You know, they write kudishi snack vipoa ni kujitest kwanza or something like that. And that is something that the youth will relate to.
Okay.
But if I come and put it in plain English language the way PLO speaks, who do you think among the young people will understand?
No one.
So it's simple. We do not have intergenerational exchange of knowledge. Because if we had that, then we would understand the process of going through an internship, the process of volunteering to get experience, then finally getting a job. And you know, you have a starting point. But then the older generation is just stuck up. And it's like, you are kids, what do you know? And you try to approach them and they're not very friendly, exactly. And we've been left to our own devices, and that means Uncle Google. And Google will tell you anything you want.
You get the answer right there. A friend of mine usually jokes that if you're sick and you're doing self-diagnosis and you go to Google, you will be dead 7 days before that. You'll find you should have died 7 days before you Google. So
so you try to reach to someone and they're so busy, they're not affording you their time, and you just go to Google. And Google will tell you things according
exactly what you're looking for.
Yes, and mostly it's according to what first world countries are going through. And then we get this mentality. And the things that the media feed us also just contribute to the mentality that we have.
Okay.
But let me ask Ken, is it true that youth have their language, that somebody must speak to them in their language no matter what?
But Meshach,
if you speak any other language, they will not get interested.
I agree with Lucy. It's the same as kids. If you have to make a kid understand, that's why there's this phrase, talk to me like a 3-year-old. If you talk to me like a grown-up, I will not understand.
That's why people all the time go, abuju, buju.
Yes, because that's what they understand.
But then what has happened to then our higher learning institutions? Are they just making the guys who you must speak to in their buju language? What are we graduating? Because every year we graduate thousands. And I'm not happy about this. One day we could see in the media a young man who has all the A's from Miranda and A's in the entire university period.
But Meshach, you agree with me, what you're taught in school and what you practice out here are completely different.
That's my point exactly.
Yes.
Then we keep graduating young people who cannot make an opportunity, cannot innovate anything. But have the knowledge and ability to get A's all through. Then where are we heading? Because when we go to countries where unemployment rate is lower, like Japan, Singapore, and a few others like China, it is not because the government has created those jobs. I think the government has just created the policy that is enabling the private sector to grow.
Yes.
So for me, there are two approaches here. The persons who, in the name of young people, we are graduating, training, even with HELB. I hope you know the story around HELB now, where we are using HELB to train these thousands. When they graduate, can they be innovative to create anything, even if the policy was right?
Okay.
Are we already there?
Okay.
Now that
because we need to meet the two.
Yes.
When the policy is creating an enabling environment, then youth are also ready with innovations.
Okay.
So are we there with both?
Okay.
No, there's a mismatch in the education curricula and the current job requirements.
Yeah.
And I think that's evident for everyone.
That's why we're going to see, it's called
CBC.
CBC, yes.
Yes, curriculum based.
You see, we are having certificate and diploma courses being offered in universities. What are the colleges supposed to offer? For someone who takes a diploma in a college and they want to advance to an undergraduate degree, when they go to a university, those credits are not accepted.
At all?
At all.
Or you have to break them?
Yeah, you have to start from scratch again at the university. So we are spending a lot of time there. And some of the courses being offered in our universities are not marketable at all. They have no use in the current world.
Professor Magoha is listening. I
hope he is.
No, he is. And actually, this is one point that he's very keen about. I'm coming back with this discussion. We're not only having a discussion about employment from here, but Maulid Ahmed in Mandera is also joining us now to talk about this because he has a perspective. Maulid, what do you have and who are you speaking to? And is the understanding the same thing from our perspective in Nairobi? Okay, Maulid is still sending salams on the other end. All right. He's still sending salam, but Maulid Mohammed, he's joining us shortly to talk about this very topic as we wait for him to get ready. Let's get back to this. You're saying the courses are not relevant to the market. Don't you think it will be different if we concentrated in creating industries? Would it make a difference?
We would first need to structure our education system in a manner that's going to benefit the industries that have been created. If we create industries and we still have this mismatch...
Lucy, that's a generation.
I understand.
Yes.
It has to start from somewhere, Ken.
That's a whole generation, not my generation.
Yeah, but Ken, for me, I think the concentration should be on the data. Do we have enough good research in this country? Because every other country that has moved to that
Ask
level,
yourself, do we finance the research in this country?
Exactly. Those will now go back to the policy we are talking about.
Do we finance it?
Are our policies geared towards evidence? I mean, research evidence, so that even a member, in some other countries, you will realize even a member of parliament will handle things when there is research evidence that this is the problem.
But in Kenya, we will ignore research.
We will ignore research completely,
and
with no evidence, but then go there and say, this is what the young people need in this country. So I think, tracing back, we need to go back to evidence, research. And then when we are now even changing the curriculum, it is out of research, because the research has given us evidence as a country that this is what the market needs. So graduate for us this kind of people, and it will meet the need of this country.
Yes, I totally agree. And I also believe we do not have harmonies within the youth sector. Each and every sector is working as an individual. We have the education sector just there doing their own thing. Leadership and governance here doing their own thing. Then we have the community there. We have the young people themselves there. And there's no synergy between them. If we had synergy between them, it would create an environment of inclusivity.
But how comes you're this realistic? Why don't you think there is no one as realistic up above?
I do not, that's what I do not understand. And this is one of the reasons why I spoke up. Because there's so much that's going on and everyone sees it, but no one voices it. I don't know if we've just been oppressed to a level where we think that our voice doesn't matter anymore, but no one says it. And I believe there's someone up the chain who thinks the way I think. I don't think I'm the only one who thinks like
I'm
this.
coming back. Yes, I'm coming back with this discussion, but we were on standby for the ICJ conference in Mombasa. They're celebrating 60 years, and currently, Muhisa Kitui is speaking. Let's just cross over, and then we'll be back shortly.
All the data since your great-grandparents and yourselves up to 2014 is less than 10% of all human data that exists. So that is just one level phenomenon. I would want to come back to it as a way of how does data innovation affect the way we think, and how does that impact our sense of public governance. I'll take us another step, sideways step. There is a very interesting phenomenon that's happening as part of the global digital revolution that is not getting sufficient attention. The relationship between virtual reality and the real reality. You remember that traditionally we have seen virtual reality as an imitation of the real thing. That it's a play on what is real. That it's a kind of circus with commentary on real life. But the number of things that have been happening that are upending our assumptions about the relationship between virtual reality and real reality. On the political front, of course, the most interesting is when a comedian who has made his career imitating what presidents can be got elected to be the president of the Ukraine. And the boundary between the virtual and the real came full circle in Ukraine. But there is another phenomenon that's even bigger than that, which is there is electronic playing of soccer. We play online soccer competitions. When boys and girls around the world are wired together and are playing games, FIFA 2020. You may not know, but today there is more money in electronic football played online than in real football played in stadiums. The virtual has overtaken the real as the main thing. All the time the constant challenge is at what point is the real the main thing? And that is a challenge in organizational behavior today also. What is the substance of politics? When a person tells you we can reject facts, inconvenient facts are not acceptable. We are selective on what facts matter. Other facts we don't like, we ignore, or we can declare them fake news. And they move along. When does manipulation create new reality? I'll want to come back to this briefly also as I discuss our challenges of public leadership today. But before I come to that, I just wanted to mention two little things about the unequal development of the digital economy. Number one, 90% of the 70 largest digital companies in the world, measured by capitalization, are either American or Chinese. 90%. 70% of all global patent applications for blockchain technology are American or Chinese. 50% of the market of the Internet of Things is American or Chinese. 70% of cloud computing market is American or Chinese. 78% of the global applications for patents on artificial intelligence are American, Chinese, or Japanese. The reality is that the architecture, the shape of the digital revolution makes Europe almost a developing country as well. But of the 70 largest digital platform companies in the world, South Korea is larger than the whole of Europe combined at 3.8%. But those are issues that can come back later. We can take spin-offs from this in many ways. We can take spin-offs on how do we continue advocating that development is digital inclusion, when every time we get online, all we are doing is playing games, volunteering our raw personal data, which is digitalized, monetized, and used to make a profit we don't share. How do we start addressing the questions of an ecosystem that does not allow for emergence of new competitors to existing platform giants? For example, any innovative company emerging today, it will be bought by the giants that exist. When we did our study last year, 0.9% of the global digital platform market was controlled by one company in India. Before we finished publishing our study, Amazon had bought that company. Africa's share of this market is 1.2%, which makes Africa look very big because Latin America is 0.2. But when you look at what is Africa's presence in the digital space, actually it is a South African company which bought equities in a Chinese company called Tencent. And because of the rise of value of Tencent, the South Africans started looking like they were being big players, but they're big players in China, not out of South Africa. But those are issues that will have to be part of policy. Unfortunately, the international debate about the digital revolution right now, if you look at the World Trade Organization negotiations, is about how do we protect cross-border commerce in electronically procured goods and services from being taxed. So a moratorium on taxation of cross-border e-commerce and so on is not yet sufficiently. How do we convert all these Africans from being mere consumers of digital services and volunteers of raw data that is monetized by others to become creators of value and appropriate some of the returns from digitalization? Or even put differently, how do you justify a situation where 66% of the value of American digital giants is generated from international business?
Right, that's Muhisa Kitui speaking at the ICJ conference. We have a few minutes on the clock. Precisely, we have about 8 minutes to conclude, not less than 8 to conclude this discussion. But now, because we've spoken about the problem that we have, perhaps, Lucy, from where you sit, what is likely to be the solution to the stalemate we have in this country?
I believe that we need to mix experience and the energy and new ideas that we have, because the older generation has the right experience. They've been there, they've done that. They know what has worked and what hasn't. And we also need to have to stop having the fear of failure. It's only through failing that we learn. Okay. So we need to allow the things that need to fail. And then we need to accept that they have failed, and we need to pick up ourselves from there. And we need to review our policies. We are in 2019. Why are we still having policies that are 1990 oriented? It doesn't make sense. We are not changing with times. We keep talking about development, this, development, that, but we do not have the economic growth to support this development. Mm-hmm. Our president is so endeared to the East. They give him a lot of money. Why can't he also borrow the ideas that the Asian tigers used to grow the economy? Because at some point we were at par with them, but then look at us now, and then look at Singapore, look at Malaysia, look at Taiwan.
They're different. Is there a way young people can leverage, for example, in what your organization does to ensure that they put them at a pedestal for the future? Is there a way they can leverage on it?
Yes, young people can leverage a lot on what we are doing as a VIO society, because what we are doing is just offering technical support to the Ministry of Labor, which volunteerism is domiciled under. So right now we are coming up with the laws. I think by next year, around February, March, we should be having the bill passed in Parliament, and then the policy be implemented. In the implementation, we will be having opportunities coming for young people. Of course, volunteerism is a cross-cutting. It's not just a young people thing, but you can imagine that there is a lot of energy from young people. The older generation will also be there because we are also talking about skills transfer. But this, again, gets us back to the discussion. Are young people willing to do this? So what we're doing right now is giving young people the right definition of volunteerism, because it has been simplified out there as work without pay. Full stop. That is not what it is. It is a social behavior. Okay. Something you would still want to do even if you're well employed.
Yes.
Because when you're doing it with corporates, in the conference, Africa Regional Conference, we were talking about leveraging on corporate volunteering, where the corporates can also give their employees with high-end skill opportunity to volunteer. But as they volunteer, they pass the skills to young people in the initiatives that young people have already started.
Okay.
So we're not going to recruit them and give them what to do. We want them to be encouraged, start something, but then we loop in the corporate sector and government to coordinate the entire sector. So the corporate come with skills to pass, but young people are already showing the willingness to volunteer.
All right.
Then we end up somewhere else.
All right. So, Lucy, do you believe your message was passed to the president? Because I'm telling you, he sees everything on social media. You see him joking all the time about things that were on social media. Do you think he got that message?
I think he got that message.
I believe he got that message.
I believe he got that message.
So if he's a very generous man, if he told you, Lucy, if you're sitting on this seat for a day, what would you do that you think the president is not doing? What would that be?
I would first clean house, Ken.
Clean house?
I would clean house, totally and completely.
You know, you lose allies and friends when you clean house.
Yes, but then his legacy is at stake. What is he valuing more? What is his priority right now? Okay. The country is in chaos. This is the most corrupt government we've ever seen, ever. I don't know for those who've lived a bit longer, but for me it's unbelievable. I was born in the Moi era, and then I went through the Kibaki era, and so now I'm in the Jubilee. Yes. Okay. And you know, I would say to the president, he is the leader of today. His future has come. He's been given a chance. But is he the leader that his father imagined he would be? Is this what his father fought for so long? If his father was to wake up today, would he be proud of him? Okay. And one more thing, if he's watching or if this gets to him, youth are the 75% of this population. We are not a minority group. Stop treating us like the minority group. And that means the State Department of Youth should be standing on its own. We are clustered with gender and public service, and that means we do not get the attention we need. Okay. That is why no one listens to us. That's why we are sidelined the way we are. Because the peers will tell you, I have this and that. That's more prioritized to this. He needs to listen to young people. There is so much potential and so much capability. He just needs to listen and take a risk.
Give that chance. All right. Yes. Are you going to do more videos?
If something comes up that I have to speak about, I'm going to speak about it. I refuse to sit on the sidelines and just watch my country bleed to death. Okay. And you're the future. Meshach, 1 minute.
Yes. If I were to sit on the president's throne today, I would partly suggest what she's talking about. When you mix gender and youth, every female in that ministry feel pulled towards gender agendas, including the cabinet secretary. If anybody you give opportunity to work in that ministry and it is gender, public service, and youth, any female in that will be pulled naturally to the gender affairs and not focus on the youth affairs. So I would suggest youth ministry standalone.
We used to have a youth ministry.
Recently, yes. Yeah. Recently, we were in Kigali. We were having a young lady who is the minister for youth. And every focus is youth.
Rwanda?
Youth. Yes, in Rwanda.
Okay.
Finally, the last thing, I would go back to get integrity around research and get the correct data. That data should inform or do a roadmap to getting what we want as a country. We are not using data, and some of the data we are using are 5-year-old, like household demographic surveys, which some of them, so many things change in this household within a year or two.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lucy Ayala. I'll be looking forward to your videos. I hope you have a channel you can subscribe. Yeah. And also, thank you very much, Meshach, for coming and sharing. And we hope to see you again. We hope to have more conversations, especially at NTV, where we give youth a lot of priority. And we have a lot of discussions about the youth. And be on standby, because my colleagues are going to be calling you to sit here and have discussions of the same.
Thank you so much. One more thing before I go.
Briefly, yes.
For the young people, there's a drive that's being done by Siasa Place and Power 254. If you could just check their Twitter pages or their website, you'd find it. We are collecting CVs for young people because we believe the president does not know we are capable. So we want to show him through our papers that we have the capability. We are qualified for this position. So kindly send in your CVs, as many of you as you can. So talk to your relatives and your friends, everyone, those in the village. Just ask everyone to send in their CVs. We want to get these CVs, all of them. It doesn't matter how many they come.
Okay.
We are getting 100 per day as of now, but we want more because we understand there is more there.
Okay. Power 254, Boniface Mwangi and Nerima Wako, they're both my friends.
Yes.